And two big names in courtrooms this week, Michael Jackson and O.J. Simpson. In Las Vegas, O.J. Simpson took the stand, pleading with the judge for a new trial in hopes of getting out of jail. O.J. Simpson had his handcuffs removed as he took the witness stand and broke more than 4 years of public silence. Simpson claims advice from his former lawyer led to his 2008 conviction for the kidnapping and armed robbery of two sports memorabilia dealers in a Las Vegas hotel.
The overall advice he gave me is you have a right to get your stuff.
Simpson is trying to prove that his former lawyers did a bad job representing him and that he deserves a new trial.
They belong to my family.
Okay.
They belong to my kids. They belong to us. These are all things that they should have, not some guy selling it in a hotel room in Vegas.
Simpson says he did not know the men he brought with him to the hotel were carrying guns.
I wouldn't have fathomed in my wildest dreams that these guys would have guns.
Simpson says at the time of the confrontation, he was tired and drunk.
Jack on the rocks.
All right. And this was. How soon do you leave after you've had these couple of drinks?
Well, it got nuts. It had really gotten kind of crazy.
Simpson says his lawyers charged him more than $700,000 in legal fees. He says that's nothing compared to his legal bills in the 1990s, but this time it was coming out of his pension. We have two great legal minds here to talk to us about the O.J. Simpson trial and what his likelihood is getting a new trial. Entertainment attorney and former journalist James Walker is joining us again, as well as our guest host and attorney, Joey Jackson.
Very too kind. Great legal mind.
Hey, you got to butter up the attorneys because you never know when you need one.
That's right.
So I want to ask both of you, I mean, is he drinking Jolly Juice? What's his chances of really getting a new trial?
You know what? He could have a shot. And here's where it goes. And you know what? When it comes to ineffective assistance of counsel, everyone blames their attorney, right? The attorney gets thrown under the bus at all times. However, there's two standards you have to prove. Number one, you have to show incompetence, right? Yeah. That there was some deficiency of performance. But more importantly, you have to show prejudice, that deficiency affected the result. Right. Now, in this case, there are three major issues, and he pleads everything under the sun, okay? There's 19 different things, this petition, 96 pages. He says everything. He didn't cross-examine this one. He didn't do this to that one. But three things I think are significant. The first thing is a plea deal. In the event that you don't tell your client that a plea deal's on the table, that's problematic. That's sort of law 101. And in the event that that's the reality and the attorney did not share that with his client, then I think there's trouble there. The second thing, well, it's not so meritorious about the whole the cross-examination they were talking about, he should have cross-examined on a certain issue. I don't like that. But there's another issue also that relates to this whole thing, because there are three in total. The plea deal, I think, the significance. The second one that he talks about as far as him taking the stand. Him taking the stand, that's a matter of trial strategy. Do you agree with that, James?
I totally agree with that.
As a matter of trial strategy, I don't think that gets you anywhere, because in the event a client wants to testify, and you say to the client, that's not a good idea, don't testify. And the client says, well, I want to. And then the client says, all right, fine, I won't testify. Because you're convicted, you can't later say, well, if I testified, it would have made a difference.
Exactly.
So that, I think, is a problem. But also, the other thing I would say, final thing, the conflict of interest. In the event that his lawyer told him, you know what, you can go back and you can get those things and you could retrieve them and it's fine. Just don't harm anybody. Just don't trespass. Then his lawyer could become a witness in that proceeding. Right. And therefore, to the extent that his lawyer may have had that conflict, I think that, if it carries the day, could be important.
All right, James, if there's anything left to say.
I was just going to say, Mike, as new court competition, what I think Joe also alluded to was how he appeared in this testimony that we just showed. I thought he appeared very contrite for the first time. If you remember in his 94 or 93 trial for the murder charge, obviously, he didn't seem contrite.
We never heard from them either.
But just his body language, things he was doing during the time and even afterwards. But I think he actually looked the part. He looked the part, as we say, as criminal lawyers and entertainment attorneys and just legal minds. We sometimes tell our clients, you have to look the part. That even if we have the evidence and the cards in our hand, if you don't look the part, we can get kicked out of court.
He's gotten older and grayer, James.
Yeah. All right. I want to go on to Michael Jackson, but it could be that 4 years in prison. Maybe.
That might have different.
And he is 65 years old now.
And you wonder if he's hurting his appeal. If he loses this in 5 years at 70, he's up for appeal.
Yes. Okay.
And I think that's
Parole.
what he did. parole, I mean.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Also, now we want to talk about Michael Jackson. And before we do, let's get an update from Arise News Los Angeles correspondent Rihanna Scipio.
Hi, Debbie. Thank you. After just over 2 weeks of testimony, there's still no clear advantage in a civil trial pitting Michael Jackson's mother against AEG Live, the promoter behind his ill-fated comeback concerts. The question, who's responsible for the death of Michael Jackson? Well, what is clear, however, is that both sides are using the same weapons. Michael Jackson himself, his increasing addiction to prescription drugs, and the wrenching details of his final days. What's most surprising, perhaps, is that although so much has already been written and revealed about the singer, there's still so much to learn. The case itself rests on two very simple questions. Was AEG Live responsible for hiring Dr. Conrad Murray, the physician who administered a powerful dose of the anesthetic propofol to the singer, causing his death in 2009? And if so, was it negligent? Dr. Conrad Murray himself was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in 2011 and is currently serving 4 years in prison. Now, amongst the witnesses called to the stand this week were two employees who have worked with Michael Jackson for many decades, and they both describe him as a very sensitive artistic genius who was haunted by physical pain. And one of those women, Karen Fay, his makeup artist since the early 1980s, said that she did feel that the singer was increasingly addicted to prescription drugs during the course of his career. Now, other claims have been made, and one of those is that potentially damaging footage that showed the singer in an emaciated state may have been deliberately disposed of before the making of the This Is It documentary. Well, there'll be more to come, I'm sure, before the case finishes. It's due to go on for another 3 months. But for now, for Arise America, I'm Rihanna Scipio in Los Angeles. It's back to you now, Debbie, in the studio.
Thank you.
And James, I know that you have worked with the Jackson family in the past. You just disclosed that to me. So maybe you can help us get a little bit into the mindset here. It seems like there's a lot for the Michael Jackson estate to lose in this trial as he becomes painted, more and more as this frail, drug-addicted, failing singer. So is there more harm to be done?
I totally agree with you. I think if you look at his death some 3 or 4 years ago, the family has constantly said we're going to hold somebody responsible. Conrad Murray, the doctor, was held responsible. He's serving time now. Now the family brings forth a lawsuit. And I know the family, worked with them for years. I've had artists signed to their label, but I don't agree with this strategy. I think you have a $2 billion publishing estate. In the entertainment game, that is the most valuable entertainment music, songwriting, publishing catalog in the industry right now. Why would you want to go through this and reveal Michael's lifestyle? I just don't see what you gain. You might win the case, but when you say he wasn't harming himself and the AEG defendants harmed him, well, that opens the door. If you're a great opposing counsel like Joe, you're going to say, well, let's look at his life. Let's look at the kind of lifestyle he lived.
Interestingly, and to James's point, both sides are talking about his drug addiction. Mm-hmm. They're using it to their advantage, okay? And one side is saying he's drug addicted. AIG is saying we didn't even know the depth of it. He hid it from everybody. Right. No one could know. And they looked through a list of 45 doctors that he's seen, that they had no idea of. The other side is saying he was drug addicted and you guys should have known it. So both of them are doing it, which further tarnishes his character.
And the estate has made almost $500 million since he died.
But there's $60 billion potentially at stake with this lawsuit.
I find it hard to.
They're drinking Jolly.
They're drinking Jolly.
But what about the kids? What kind of factor are they going to make when they take the stand?
Well, they're going to claim, as they do in the suit, that the kids suffer some kind of emotional distress, and I think they're going to put them on the stand. And my question is, are you going to make the kids talk about the death of their dad on the stand?
Right.
And what is that going to do to them from a traumatic standpoint, from an emotional standpoint? I just don't see what they gain. The kids are doing well now. One of them is on Entertainment Tonight, I believe, as a reporter. Mm-hmm. They're doing very well. Why would you want to have them endure this type of trial? I just don't get it.
And what they'll tell you is it puts the human face on it. It puts the element. The children are testifying. Just like in the OJ, to go back to that, his daughter testified. Mm-hmm. It puts the face of the daughter.
Let me say
sympathy.
This, Joe, if you're going up against the family, do you put all the brothers on the stand and say, you guys were living off Michael, and this is just another attempt to cash in on the cash cow?
You know the game.
Okay.
Yes, you know.
How long do you expect this to go on?
Oh, at least another 2 weeks. What are there, 44 witnesses? At least another 2
Is
weeks.
that all?
Yeah, I hear our broadcast were just saying that it's expected to go on for 3 months. So,
Wow.
with all those witnesses, it stands to reason, and it could only get worse.
I just don't
Yeah,
understand
you never
it.
know. It's unpredictable, these trials. And then there are legal issues that crop up during the course of trial. They have a mind
And of course,
their
they
own.
could all meet behind closed doors, settle, and it's all done.
There's something that they can do, but there's so
Yeah.
much money at stake.
Yeah.
you kinda
There's a
have
lot
to
of money
watch.
at stake. And, there's the reputation of AEG Live that's at stake. Because, they're in business. They're promoting concerts, doing whatever they do.
Real quickly, we alluded to the drug thing. They're saying AEG wanted to make $1 billion off Michael. AEG is saying, no, Michael was broke, and he wanted to make $1 billion off of us. And that's going to be one of the key kind of, fighting points throughout this trial.
Yeah, it's incredible. Now, I don't know that I'm sure you guys have not read his will. You don't know the details of his.
I've read his will.
You've read his will?
Yeah, I read his will. I blasted the lawyers who didn't read it before
Very
he died.
quickly, well, since they're going after so much money, and you
Mm-hmm.
talked about the music catalog and how that's a treasure trove.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that the family doesn't have access to the assets of his estate?
When he had died, he appointed 3 people as trustees.
Right.
And his family
And none
was
of
not
their
named.
family- yeah.
So mom gets 40, the kids get 40, and charities get 20%. But all the money's run through the trustees. And the family feels like once the kids come of age, then what? Mom is in her 80s, late 80s, mid 80s, I believe. If she passes away, then what? So a part of this lawsuit, in my opinion, is trying to create another pipeline of income. Because right now, the two to three trustees, Denny McClain, John Bronca, and the other gentleman in LA, they don't want to have to answer to the family.
All right. One of our other guest hosts
I knew
always
it.
says,
I knew
when
you
it's
were
not about the money,
It's about the
about the
money.
money.
I knew you were going to say it. Yes, indeed.
Always the money.
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Always.
Thanks, James Walker. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And you are watching Arise America.